Começou a live de lançamento da New Glenn, primeiro foguetão da Blue World. Começamos aqui a live aqui para acompanhar o lançamento da New Glenn da Blue World. Da Blue World, gente. Mas agora deixa eu ficar acordado até o lançamento e até a live acabar. Não vou terminar a live não. New Glenn, já estamos com o hashtag aqui. Acho que teve algum problema ou deu hold na live, gente, que hold da Blue World, porque tava demorando pra começar. Tava demorando. Agora já vou divulgando a live aqui, gente. Ah, não, vou iniciar a live quando vou iniciar a live vou divulgar depois. Cadê as imagens da New Glenn? Nem, acho que vai dar scrub. Vai dar scrub. Só acho que vai dar scrub. Esse New Glenn ou vai dar hold? O hold eu acho que já deu, pois já não tava começando. Era pra ter começado às 2 horas e começou uns 12h17, 2h16, não sei. Deixa eu já ver. Vários canais aqui. Eu fui só o único que comecei mais tarde. Eu e a NASA Tech, com certeza. Cadê? NASA Tech. NASA Tech. Não, cadê? Cadê o parceiro? Missão, gente. NG-1 levando a carga chamado Blue Foguete. Assim, deixa eu ver. Blue Foguete. Blue Pathfinder. Blue Pathfinder. Pathfinder. Sim, não sei. Deixa eu mandar mensagem para o parceiro. Da NASA Tech. Blue World começou live. Cadê, gente? Gente, será que não vai ter lançamento não? Esqueceram de colocar a imagem aí, gente. Deixa mudar, gente. Cadê? Especiais 2. Especiais 2. Deixa só a gente colocar imagens do canal do Space Flight no. Pois a imagem do Space Flight no tá bem bonita, gente. As imagens do Space Flight no é esse aqui, é o link. As imagens do Space Flight no tá bem bonita aí, gente. Só que eu tá falando do negócio aí, eles vão ver do P7. Colocando aqui, gente. Tô colocando o link. Engajar. Vamos ver como tá o negócio da Space Flight no. A câmera tá boa, não apaga-se. Só porque eu disse do negócio aí. Gente, o upload está de zoeira com a gente. Pronto, tirei a imagem da Blue Origin. Não, tá indisponível. Space Flight no. Space Flight no. Esse da Blue Walls. Não, pega aí, gente. Deu scrub aqui. Mas tá de brincadeira, né? Tá de brincadeira, né, gente?
Qual o tamanho desse foguete? 98 metros de altura, 7 metros de largura. É um baita de um foguete. Oi.
Já deu hold, gente, no negócio. Mas tá de brincadeira, né? Aí, gente, do Space Flight no. Deu hold, gente. Aqui, deu hold aqui em cima. Deixa eu ver, deixa eu só conferir aqui. Cadê? Aguardando o novo T. Deu hold aqui, gente. Aqui, gente, como que tá bonito no Glen. E a transmissão, se eles estiverem com transmissão ao vivo, então tá de brincadeira, né? Blue Walls, né? Blue Walls. Tá de brincadeira, cadê? Blue Walls, cadê? Com certeza falar alguma coisa. Tá de brincadeira, né, gente? Cadê os gente? Aqui, direita da Blue Walks. Terminou a live aqui da Blue Walks. Não, pega aí, gente. Aí, voltou ao normal. O que deu aí? Deixa eu ver. O que deu certo, gente? Deixa eu ver se... Deixa eu só ver, gente, se eu recebi aí também.
Aí de entrevista dele na...
matar o mosquito aqui, gente. Cadê as imagens do mundo? Cadê gente a New Glade? Oh, tem peças aí da New Glade. Aqui no Space Flight não tá falando que é as 3 horas, galera. Olá, gente! New Glade. Da New Glade, gente. Agora sim vou divulgar aqui, gente. Gente da New Glade, gente. Pega aí, gente.
Actually 6 landing legs on that aft section, and they're actually going to deploy right before it lands. And unlike New Shepard, our suborbital vehicle, New Glenn's booster is going to land out at sea. New Glenn is going to launch vertically here at the Cape. It'll then arc over the Atlantic on its way to orbit. The first stage is then going to maneuver its way back to Earth onto a landing platform that's actually positioned in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the first stage booster is powered by 7 BE-4 engines, and these are really powerful engines. Each one is capable of over 500,000 pounds of thrust each. So when we combine all 7, we're talking about a launch vehicle with a thrust at liftoff of nearly 4 million pounds.
3.85 million to be exact. Got to make sure our engineers, out there don't call us out. Got to get the sig figs right. But that's just the first stage. And as the first stage is busy landing back on Earth, meanwhile, the second stage is going to continue into orbit. Just for a quick intro for those that are not really into rockets. When we talk about...
Voltamos, gente. Olha lá, gente, as imagens da New Glade, da Blue Origin. Tá em tempo real. Valeu a pena, gente, que ainda na live. Gente, vou utilizar desse da New Glade, gente. A New Glenn, gente, tá levando, gente, a carga Blue Pathfinder. Deixa eu ver aqui. Pathfinder. Essa é a carga, gente, que a New Glenn tá levando. A New Glenn vai ser lançado de cabo canaveral, gente. Pela primeira vez a New Glenn vai ser lançado no cabo canaveral, gente. Gente, já ir marcando aqui os pessoais aqui, gente. Blue Org, cadê? Cadê? NASA Tech, que é o nosso parceiro. SpaceX. E Space, gente. Olha lá, gente, Blue Org, gente. Olha lá, gente, tem pessoal aí lá dentro já, que dá pra ver. Cadê contagem, gente? Aí não tem contagem, não. Deixa eu ver aqui, gente, do... A quanta gente lá, gente, que tá esperando a New Glenn, gente. Quanta gente aí que tá esperando a New Glenn. Acho que deu folding mesmo, gente, porque não tá aparecendo nem a contagem. Deu hold? Não sei. Nossa, deu holding, eu acho. Porque se fosse câmera, olha lá, gente, a miniatura da New Glenn que o cara tá segurando. Acho que dá pra ver aí. Deixa eu ver aqui no canal, gente, o chat da live. Olha lá, gente, a New Glenn. Será que o lançamento vai dar certo, gente? O lançamento da New Glenn. Ao vivo, gente, aí. Estão vendo aí, gente? Mas ao vivo, gente, de Cabo Canaveral, New Glenn, daqui a pouco vai ser lançado. Tomara. Só acho que eles só devem ter esquecido de colocar o negócio. Porque se não tiver esquecido e tiver dado hold, como que a New Glenn deve fazer, gente. A New Glenn deve pousar na balsa, que é Jacqueline. Acho que é assim, que é a mãe do Jeff Bezos, o dono da Amazon. Acho que ele é dono da Amazon ainda. Acho que ele ainda é o dono da Amazon. O óbvio divulgou que deram post. Ah, não sei. Acho que deu sim. Vai, divulga logo a hora que vai ser lançado. Ah, essa é as imagens da câmera de dentro aí da Blue World, da Glenn. New Glenn. New Glenn. Tomara que seja lançado, nem que seja por susto. Será, gente, que vai ser lançado? Pintura bonita, a logo da Blue World, que é uma pena. Não sei se é uma pena de pássaro ou de pau. Será que vai ser lançado, gente, o lançamento, o foguete da New Glenn, da Blue World, New Glenn, gente? Ah, gente, eu não sei se vocês viram, com certeza vocês não viram, mas gente, fizemos, gente, uma parceria com a YANKEE, se não me engano, assim que se fala, eu acho. Aí, gente, no chat. Aí, gente, esse é o parceiro.
Acho que uma parte de mim tem medo de não ser o pai que você merece. Maria Clara ficou em silêncio por um momento, depois olhou a foto de volta na gaveta e fechou. Você tá tentando. Isso já é mais do que motivante. Quero só ficar emocionado. Emoções apenas dela. Obrigada. Foi a primeira vez que ele a chamou assim. Ela sentiu algo que se muito. Era estranho, mas ao mesmo tempo bom. A relação entre eles ainda estava sendo construída, com altos e baixos, mas Carlos estava determinado a fazer aquilo dar certo. Ele sabia que não podia mudar,
Peraí, quem é
mas
isso?
queria garantir que o futuro de Maria Clara fosse diferente.
Pelo de
Mesmo sem dizer em voz alta, Maria Clara estava começando a acreditar que, talvez, ela realmente tivesse
Maior de live aqui da Space Flight Channel.
parecia ficar mais pesado sempre que Regina e Maria Clara estavam na mesma sala. Mesmo depois que o teste de DNA confirmou que Carlos era pai de Maria Clara, Regina não conseguia aceitar. Para ela, a presença da menina era uma borrachadura na vida que ela tinha tentado construir com tanto esforço.
Resende
Sentia
Dozente.
isso em cada olhar frio, em cada
Resende Idol.
Enquanto Maria Clara tomava café na cozinha, Regina
Olha lá, gente.
ela estava
A balsa. Jacqueline. A Jacqueline. Jacqueline. A balsa. Balsa Jacqueline. Da Blue Walls. Esse que o primeiro estágio da New Drake vai pousar aí. Como que vai ser a balsa? Como que vai ser o pouso? A Blue Walls ainda não colocou a contagem ainda. Aí, gente, novo horário da New Glen é que horas aqui? Que horas? Do nada aparece o negócio. Olá, gente. Então o lançamento vai ser às 3 de...
Ó, aqui pela enquete aqui foram até agora 3.102 votos, 60% sucesso total, 12% de forma, 10%
Olha, tinha dado hold, hein? Tinha dado hold. Deixa eu ver aqui. Deixa eu ver aqui, gente, no Space Flight não colocava, colocou, hein? colocou. Vou ver também aqui pelo canal do Space Today também. Mas que sacanagem que é essa, gente? Aí na live do... Deixa só salvar que pega aí. Atualizar. Ah, meu garoto. Quero ver se fica com o mesmo... Aí, pronto. Agora está com o mesmo... Ao mesmo tempo não. Mas tá no 37. Acho que é porque delay desse de live. Aqui é delay. Tem delay desse de live. Vai coloca. Alguém do Resident Evil colocou aqui. Resident. Cadê o Resident? Mano, coloca aqui no negócio. De 36 minutos e 43 segundos ele paga o lançamento da New Glenn, o foguetão da Blue Origin, primeiro maior foguete da Blue Origin. Deixa eu ver aqui. Que é 36, 36. Ah, tá. Então também está bem atrasadinho. Live do... Que tá mais adiantado é do negócio. 35 minutos e... Olha lá, gente. Meu Gray sendo levantado. Aí a New Gray não tava com a pintura da missão. Eles vão fazer o que para tirar a pintura? Porque vai lá saber se não é lançado outros foguetes. Eles vão... Essa tinta é tirada? Ah não, esquece. Esse negócio é a parte de cima, o segundo estágio não vai junto, só o primeiro estágio que volta. Então não tem problema. Mas a tanta de tinta que eles usam para pintar aí. Olha, gente. Na Flórida, Cabo Canaveral. Cabo Canaveral, de 34 minutos e 21 segundos para o lançamento do foguete New Glenn. Ah tá, então o lançamento agora vai ser às 13h31. 13h31, gente, o lançamento da New Glenn. 33 e 54 segundos para o lançamento do foguete New Glenn da Blue Origin, gente. Para uma hora de live, tá vendo, gente? Essa live, eu pensei que essa live não ia dar tipo mais de uma hora, mas vai dar mais de uma hora de live, gente. Vai dar uma hora de live. Mais uma hora. Olha a New Glenn, gente. A New Glenn. Ah, o fumaceiro que tá saindo aí. Que está saindo. Missão NG-1. New Glenn 1. Levando. Ah, pega aí que eu quero fazer uma coisa aqui. Fazer uma coisa aqui, cadê? Vermelho, pode ficar em vermelho. Só paga o gente. Eu não quero saber, não vou fazer não. Desistir, gente. Tá levando a carga Blue Ring Pathfinder. Lançamento às 13h31 em Cabo Canaveral, na Flórida. E 47, gente, paga 31 minutos e 42 segundos para o lançamento, gente, do New Glenn. Olha lá, gente, medindo da New Shepard e New Glenn. New Shepard é bem pequeno aí, gente. New Shepard, gente. O visite da Space Flight 1. Uma hora de live deles. Imagina quando dá 6 horas. Não, já deu. Vai dar 2 horas de live para eles. Olha lá, gente, o pad da New Shepard. New Glenn. New Shepard, nossa, porque eu falei New Shepard. É New Glenn, gente. 30 minutos e 41 segundos de lançamento para o Foguete New Glenn da Blue Origin. Já é 3 horas que é para ser lançado da New Glenn, mas não olha o tamanho, gente, da New Glenn, gente. Pela câmera não dá para perceber, mas olha aí como que é, gente. A New Glenn com as pessoas. Dessa vez, gente, Space Orbit ainda está em live. Space Orbit ainda está em 29 minutos e 53 segundos para o lançamento do Foguete New Glenn. E que aprender que não é New Glenn. Não é New Shepard, não é New Shepard, é New Glenn. Olha, gente, que eu vou gravar aqui de novo um stall. Não vale. Não vale, porque aí não dá pra colocar 31 segundos. Não, 31 minutos. Eu vou deixar assim. Então vou deixar assim. A gente, o lindo New Glenn. 28 minutos e 51 segundos para o lançamento do Foguete New Glenn, gente. Olha lá, gente, Saturno V. Saturno V é bem maior do que o New Glenn, contando com a ponta. Mas sem a ponta, acho que é do mesmo tamanho, gente. Acho que é do mesmo tamanho, gente. Oi. Acho que é do mesmo tamanho, gente. 28 minutos e segundos, lançamento do New Glenn, gente, Blue Origin. 28, daqui a pouco, gente, lançamento da New Glenn, Blue Origin. Primeiro foguete maior da Blue Origin, porque normalmente é New Shepard. E esse é um dos primeiros foguetes fabricados pelo Blue Origin. Lá, gente, quanta gente que tá aí, gente, para o lançamento. Olha quanta gente. New Glenn. Ó, gente, a pessoa. Esse é em Sparkle, na Flórida. Primeira vez que a Blue Origin lança um foguete fora dos estados do Texas, pois normalmente eles lançam no Texas. Esse vai ser lançado em Cabo Canaveral, na Flórida. Daqui a pouco, gente, 26 minutos e 43 segundos, lançamento New Glenn. Daqui a pouco, gente, o lançamento da New Glenn. Como que será que vai ser esse lançamento? Será que o New Glenn vai conseguir pousar na balsa, que nem o Falcon 9 que pousa na balsa, que nem a SpaceX que consegue? Vamos ver o avanço da Blue Origin, gente. Vamos ver o avanço da Blue Origin, como que ele consegue. Eu tô achando, gente, que vai dar tudo certo, que vai conseguir decolar, que vai conseguir fazer tudo isso, que vai conseguir soltar o segundo estágio, que o primeiro estágio vai pousar na balsa. As pessoas muito felizes. A pessoa muito feliz, gente, as pessoas. 25 minutos e 24 segundos para o lançamento do foguete New Glenn. Algum chat, alguma mensagem aqui no chat da live, gente, aqui do canal YANKEE. Não, a NASA Tech. Eu não tô ouvindo aqui. Missão NG-1 Blue Origin New Glenn 1. É difícil de lembrar na cabeça. Tomara que não dê hold ou meio scrub. Porque se der scrub aí já era, gente. Já era, gente. 49 minutos de live. E no Space Flight Note. Olha lá, gente. Então, o tamanho dos monitores. É uma televisão que eles utilizam. Um monitor é como uma televisão LG. Provavelmente porque olha o tamanho do monitor. Olha o tamanho do monitor, gente. 23 minutos e 28 segundos, lançamento New Glenn. Da New Glenn, gente. Deixa eu ver, gente, na Space Today, como que está a live.
Ele tá na segunda fileira?
É pra ser lançado, gente, o foguete ontem.
O cara é careca, não é pra pensar que o
Sábado
careca
paga
é
domingo.
personagem.
Mas só que não foi, pois estava, porque por causa dos negócios climáticos. Ó, aqui na caixa de óculos. 22 minutos e 41 segundos para o lançamento da New Glenn.
Aí a galera tá aí, ó, espalhada aí, ó.
Olha lá, gente. Felicidade, gente, da galera. Felicidade. New Glenn.
Eu vou ouvir não, Marcelo, tá cortando. Não atravessar, foi do Jacuzzi. Mas tá valendo essa madrugada.
Aí, gente, cadê?
Não?
New Glenn. Ah, não deu tempo. Mas deu, quase deu. Paga mostrar, mas só que depois eles mudaram. 21 minutos e 37 segundos lançamento. New Glenn, gente. New Glenn. Missão NG-1. Será que vai dar tudo certo, gente, nesse lançamento da Blue Origin? Na Blue Origin. Olha lá, gente, onde que ela está? Esse é um dos prédios da Blue Origin, com certeza. Deixa eu ver aqui, gente. Ai, gente. Centro de controle, gente. Da New Glenn. minutos e 32 segundos, gente, para o lançamento da New Glenn, gente. Daqui a pouco, gente, o lançamento da New Glenn, gente. Essa live vai ser transformada em um vídeo. Como que faz? Como que fazemos em lives especiais. minutos e 47 segundos, gente, para o lançamento, gente, da New Glenn. Quantas horas de live já está? 54 minutos e 29 segundos, gente, de live. Estamos em live, gente. Como será que vai ser? Depois dessa live eu tenho que terminar a live para começar uma outra live, que é a live do aeroporto. Como que fazemos Recife hoje. Nunca pensei que ia ser tão tarde. É a live. Minutos e 31 segundos, gente, para o lançamento do foguete New Glenn. Como que será que vai ser esse lançamento, hein? está acabando os minutos, gente. Daqui a pouco, gente. Daqui a pouco, contagem regressiva, gente. Olha lá, gente, a New Glenn. Olha esse fogo, que bonito. O tamanho da New Glenn. Olha o tamanho. Que isso que tá? Ah, tá, é o negócio, é o pad. Está segurando o New Glenn. Pra que tem essas chamas? Esse fogo. 17 minutos e 25 segundos, lançamento New Glenn. Com certeza, gente, no canal do Space Orbit, do Space Today vai ser o primeiro que vai mostrar o lançamento. Deixa eu ver como que está a live do Space. Vai dar. Eu não falar isso aí, David, o pegador. Oxi! Pô, gente, a New Glenn tá complicando a gente. Deixa eu ver aqui no Space Flight novo. Então a gente conquistava no início. Meu Deus. Esse foguete não vai ser lançado, com certeza não. Não vai ser lançado. Nossa, agora mudou para o galo de 3,52. Teria que mudar a minha live do Recife, do aeroporto de Recife. Ai, meu, complicado. Complicado esse meu cliente. Realmente estava acontecendo com o meu chupa naquele dia, ano passado. Configurações. Ah, não vou não. Vai deixar assim como está. Então o lançamento vai ser agora às 3h52, gente. Daqui a pouco, gente, 34 minutos e 50 segundos. Com certeza eles devem estar vendo a live do Space Today. Eles estão falando assim, olha, vamos fazer, e por que não fazer isso? Por que a gente não fazemos isso, já que o Sazul do Foguete está em live e a gente não faz isso? Hein? Com certeza, gente. Quer ver que vai dar scrub? Vai dar scrub o negócio, aí só vai ter a live só amanhã. A live da Neugley. Ô Neugley, por favor Neugley, só não pense Neugley em fazer e aumentar mais a volta, porque eu tenho que dormir Neugley às 5 horas ou às 4 horas. Por favor Neugley, por favor meu filho, eu não tenho ninguém pra ficar aqui em live. Tá vindo um ressentimento ruim que não vai ter lançamento e vai dar scrub. Então, gente, novamente 32 minutos e 47 segundos. Que maravilha, hein? Que maravilha, hein, gente? Que maravilha. Mas gente, a balsa de novo. Não quero ver a balsa, quero ver o foguete. O Neugley, quero ver o Neugley. Cadê o Neugley? Mas uma coisa, será que esse foguete, a Neugley, tem a câmera dos dados no lateral que fazem com o Falcon 9 ou o Starship? Se não tiver, aí complica, porque queria ver como que seria. Vai ser que nem o do Ariane Space, do dezembro. Dezembro foi? Acho que é. 31 minutos e 30 segundos, gente, vou beber água e já volto. Porque ficar falando já tá me deixando com boca seca. Já volto, gente.
The Pathfinder payload is ready to go to launch as well.
Correct, yeah. So upstairs at the MC, we'll have a launch control and mission control. So our launch team is the one that's doing all these system checks on New Glenn, while mission control is making sure that they're doing similar system checks for the Blue Ring Pathfinder.
Wonderful. And let's take a second and dig in a little bit more on that payload. The Pathfinder is a cool piece of technology, and really, it's just the initial demo for a vehicle program called Blue Ring that's quite far along in its own development. And we mentioned this earlier, today's demo is a non-separating payload. This means the payload tonight is going to stay attached to New Glenn's second stage for the entire 6-hour mission. The other thing I want to reiterate about this Blue Ring Pathfinder is it's going to be testing a lot of the same technology, but it's not the Blue Ring itself. It's not the same form factor, but we're going to learn a lot from this evening. Now, what we want to, I should say, as we talk about the Blue Ring Pathfinder, I want to reiterate that it's attached to the second stage, and it will stay there as it orbits the Earth. And that also is not normal, but we wanted to do that for today's demo mission. Now, today's demo mission on the Pathfinder is going to prove out some important components of our future vehicle, Blue Ring. And I get really excited. Clearly, I get so nervous I get excited talking about this. I love this program. It's one that I've had a hand in getting off the ground for the past year as part of Blue's in-space systems team. But I want to take you deeper into Blue Ring. Let's check out this video.
Blue Ring allows you to do many different things with
Voltamos, gente. 29 minutos e 18 segundos, gente. Complicado, gente. Gente, eu vou deixar a live falando aí. E quando for tipo uns 5 minutos para ser lançado, aí eu volto aqui para até o final do lançamento, ok, gente? Tenho que deitar aí porque tá doendo as minhas costas já sentado. Então volto aí daqui quando for 5 minutos para o lançamento.
To offload all of their data relay and critical processing needs.
You've got space domain awareness, you've got communications capabilities, and then you've also got this ability to host things on Blue Ring itself.
For customers who need orbit maneuver, we can maneuver them between orbits, within an orbit.
We can have nominally 3,000 meters per second of delta V with this vehicle, and in some configurations all the way up to 4,000 meters per second. And it has dual propulsion systems, meaning that I can use the chemical systems for really fast maneuvers, but then have electric propulsion for all of the station keeping and low energy maneuvers. A lot of our work is going to be done in geostationary orbit for sure. But we've got capabilities to go out to cislunar orbits and interplanetary.
Blue Ring Pathfinder is going to be on our first New Glenn flight, which is really exciting.
This first mission, it demonstrates our space-to-ground interfaces. So it proves out that we can command our vehicle on orbit, can receive data from the vehicle.
We'll be testing out and demonstrating a lot of the capabilities that will be hosted on the Blue Ring vehicle as a whole.
We're building not just the transportation systems through New Glenn, but also the infrastructure that will help future generations take advantage of what space has to offer.
Blue Ring is going to multiply what we can do in space and create the infrastructure like nothing else.
I don't know about you, but I am pretty excited, if you can't tell, to be able to say that the team I work with in my day job, Blue Ring, is the team behind the first payload ever on New Glenn.
It is so, so cool. Thinking about the way a vehicle like Blue Ring will open up access to space. I mean, that's really what it's all about. That key aspect of today's mission is that demo of space-to-ground communication capabilities for Blue Ring.
You got it. The Blue Ring Pathfinder will be testing its ability to send commands to the spacecraft, receive telemetry, and edge processing software that will demonstrate local autonomy and machine learning that will be part of the storage and compute mission kit that's going to be flying on all of the future Blue Ring vehicles. So basically, it has a computer predicting if the spacecraft is getting sick. We're also testing radiometric tracking, which, by the way, helps in navigation by using radio waves to track the spacecraft's position and velocity. So basically, radiometric tracking uses radio frequencies to track where the vehicle is and where it's going.
So Blue Ring is going to be very busy during this mission. It'll be sending and receiving data, it'll be tracking its own location and processing mission data real time. And all of this will be communicated over RF to Atlas antennas stationed in Hawaii, the state of Georgia, and even Australia.
Yeah, these ground stations will collect telemetry and radiometric data, which is crucial for understanding how the spacecraft is performing and navigating in highly elliptical orbits in the MEO range. Now, this is unique because it allows the spacecraft to spend a significant amount of time over specific areas of Earth, making it an ideal orbit for certain communication and observation missions. And this is all part of proving how Blue Ring can navigate. All the data collected from this mission will be used to support the future production of the Blue Ring space vehicle, which undoubtedly will play a vital role in further space exploration and communication technologies.
That data and experience gained from this Pathfinder mission will be invaluable for our engineering team. It really does pave the way for more advanced missions. It helps ensure the reliability and the efficiency of future Blue Ring vehicles.
There you have it, folks. Now, Blue Ring Pathfinder is supported by the Department of Defense's Innovation Unit, or DIU, And let me tell you, we are so thankful for their involvement today. I should say they have been so supportive of our Pathfinder, but just the Blue Ring program in general. They are believers like us, so thank you to them. All right, with that, we're at T-minus 24 minutes and 3 seconds to go until T-minus 0. This is NG-1, the first flight of New Glenn, and we are so glad you're here joining us this evening. Why don't we take a moment to talk about our mission objectives for the launch? This is our first flight, and we've prepared rigorously for it, but we also know that none of this is easy. And our key objective today is to reach orbit safely. Anything beyond that is icing on the cake, bonus points. We know that landing the booster on the first try offshore is ambitious, but we are going for it. No matter what happens today, we are going to learn, refine, and apply that knowledge to our next launch. We're really looking forward to seeing how the vehicle performs. As I said earlier, more data, the better, right? We've pushed every single part, component, system in our testing well beyond its limits by design, but we also recognize that no amount of ground testing or mission simulations can replace the real-world conditions of flying this system into space, which is why we can't wait for the mission to get underway, see how things perform, and apply all the lessons learned to our next launch and beyond. It is an absolutely thrilling day. Again, we're so glad that you're here to share it with us. Now with that, we're at T-minus 22 minutes and 30 seconds to go until launch. Why don't we take a moment and check out New Glenn on the pad as it gets ready for its first launch to space today. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We are at T-minus 20 minutes and 50 seconds to go until New Glenn's first launch. What a day for us. And, you know, it takes many, many smart people to bring a vehicle like New Glenn together. And one of those great people that I've had the pleasure of working with over several years is someone who now leads up customer integration for New Glenn. That is Blue Origin's Laura McGinnis. Laura is the Vice President of Mission Management for New Glenn. Now, before Blue, Laura spent time in a similar role with United Launch Alliance. She also had quite the career at the Air Force. And I had the pleasure of chatting with her just for a few minutes, just a little bit earlier, to hear what customers can start to expect from a vehicle like New Glenn. Let's listen to that chat.
Laura, thank you for taking the time, especially on such an important day, to give us a tour of the factory. This is kind of like your second home, I imagine, for the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely, Ariana. We're so excited about this factory and super excited to show you all a little bit about it.
Well, so talk to me a little bit about what we got going on here. We've got multiple rockets coming down the line.
Yeah, all kinds of things going on. So the basic layout is that the raw materials comes in from the south side of the building down here at the end of the aisle. We weld the tanks together down there. Then we bring the completed modules here for assembly. Over here we have our GS1 aft module, which will have landing legs, 7 BE-4 engines installed. We do all of that work. We continue to assemble the stages down here. We build fairings. Behind the wall over here, our 7-meter fairing, which our customers love, and eventually we roll out the Glen Stage 1, Glen Stage 2, and the fairings out of the north end of the building. Those are all transported 8 miles over to Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and are assembled in our integration facility over there prior to launch.
And that's also, of course, where we integrate the payload as well. Just talking about customers a little bit, what have the various customers been saying about what they're excited about?
We're working with our national security customer right now on certifying New Glenn because they really need an additional launch system.
Right.
We're also working with our NASA customers. They've got a lot of interest in the size of our payload fairing, both for rideshare kinds of things as well as large telescopes and large instruments. Commercial customers are thrilled about our capability of bringing many small spacecraft to LEO.
And we've already been doing some integration precisely with these customers. How has that process been going with our customers?
We know our customers make us better. So these customers, many of them have been launching different missions, different systems for years and years, and working with them to understand their needs, understand how we can adapt our system to best meet their needs.
So that's kind of the longer term work that you and your team have been doing. But let's get back to NG-1 for a second. What have the last couple of weeks been like down here at the Cape?
It's not simple to take this whole system into a successful vehicle. I would say one of our best learning opportunities was our integrated launch vehicle, Hotfire.
Video was real.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Beautiful, was awesome. Glowing blue is like a, all right, this is game time.
Totally, yep.
This launch, NG-1, what are you most looking forward to? When it is go time, when the rocket lifts off, what do you think that's going to feel like?
I mean, I will say I love that final 4 minutes when we pick up terminal count and we're counting down and the room is super quiet, the energy, the excitement, the moment, and then feeling that lift off, seeing it on its way over the horizon, and then hearing that final call out that we have inserted our payload customer successfully into orbit is like just an amazing moment, and I can't wait for it. I know New Glenn's going to do it. It's going to be a great day.
A big thank you to Laura again for joining for that quick tour through our factory right behind where we are this evening. Okay, we are at T-minus 31 minutes and 6 seconds to go until NG-1. We continue to tick down towards our first launch. I will mention again, you may have seen we went down and then we added some more time to the clock. That is just fine. That is our team taking a couple more minutes to make sure that all of their procedures are aligned as we tick down towards T-minus 0. So you might see a little bit more of that happening here. While we've got a little bit more time, why don't we talk about the flight profile for this evening's launch? What is that going to look like as we see this vehicle fly today?
We've imagined New Glenn's flight for so long. We've looked forward to this day, and I'm so excited just to see another vehicle of this size flying from the coast of Florida. We're going to be feeling the power of those BE-4 engines here in the studio very shortly. After liftoff, there are a number of important milestones in the flight that we'll be tracking, so let's go ahead and take a detailed look at what New Glenn's first flight is going to be like.
New Glenn lifts off from Launch Complex 36 on Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines will ignite and propel the rocket upward with over 3.8 million pounds of thrust, or roughly 17,000 kilonewtons. The vehicle will quickly reach supersonic speeds as it climbs through the atmosphere. As the rocket ascends, it will encounter maximum aerodynamic pressure known as max Q at around 40,000 feet or 12 kilometers. This is the point at which the stress on the vehicle is at its highest. Around 3 minutes into the flight, the vehicle will turn off its engines, marking the end of the boost phase. Shortly after, the reusable first stage will separate and begin its journey back to Earth. 2 BE-3U engines on the second stage will ignite and propel it onward into orbit with the payload. The reusable booster reorients in the vacuum of space using its reaction control system. At 220,000 feet or 67 kilometers, it executes an exo-atmospheric deceleration burn using its center 3 engines. These engines gimbal for maximum control of the booster. This burn slows the vehicle down before re-entering the atmosphere. As it descends, the booster's strakes and fins work together to slow it down and guide it autonomously back to Earth, landing on a vessel at sea. At around 9,000 feet, or just under 3,000 meters, the first stage begins its final landing burn. The 3 middle engines will light for 20 seconds, slowing the vehicle in preparation for the final descent. The 2 outer engines will turn off, and the center engine will execute the final controlled maneuver onto the landing platform. The vessel will return to Cape Canaveral to prepare for its next mission. Meanwhile, in space, the second stage will continue to power the payload towards its final orbit. At around 400,000 feet or 120 kilometers, the payload fairings will jettison. New Glenn will deliver an unprecedented range of payloads. Large satellites, dual payloads, orbital vehicles, large constellation dispensers, even moon landers destined to establish permanent human presence on the moon. This is New Glenn. This is how we will build a road to space.
So again, there you got an opportunity to see what the mission profile will be for this rocket this evening, but I think what was really cool about that video as well is it gives you a sense of the future as well in terms of the various vehicles that we're going to be able to take on this rocket, whether it's a lot of LEO satellites or a lunar lander or a massive GEO payload, whatever it may be. I think that's one of the coolest things about this vehicle. It is very versatile, and it's the power of the vehicle matched with the volume of a 7-meter fairing that's going to allow this vehicle to be a workhorse for Blue Origin as well as our customers for years to come. So a beautiful rocket on the pad there waiting its first launch to space. Welcome back, everybody. We're at T-minus 16 minutes and 45 seconds to go until launch here. An exciting evening for all of us here at Blue Origin. I'm so glad that you've joined us. Now, we have spoken about the wealth of experience in the New Glenn launch and mission control rooms upstairs, and I want to take it back to Maggie upstairs, who is standing by up there. Maggie, you with us?
Yep, Ariane, I am back at Mission Control, and as we make our way towards terminal count, the energy is high. It might seem like it's a little quiet with everyone sitting down, but the communications are ongoing. The launch director and his team are working super hard to get us there.
I love it. They're in the zone. So, Maggie, I'd love for you to talk us through some of the people behind the mission up there. Walk us through who's on console.
We've got some of our best and brightest here in the Mission Control Center. So the Mission Control Center is actually a network of rooms. We've got Mission Control, Launch Control, and engineering support rooms where our team is looking through data constantly. Now this whole team is led by our launch director. His name is Ben Dykstra. Ben is responsible for the launch, tip to tail. He is doing the go, no go, and making sure that we get our best chance of success. Ben actually comes from our New Shepard rocket. So Ben is a great example of how we take our flight pedigree from New Shepard and we are building it into New Glenn. Now Ben and I go way back. We worked on New Shepard together for quite a while, and I've had a chance to talk to him quite a bit this week. And I was asking him what his pre-launch traditions are and what he's bringing here to New Glenn. And he gave me a couple answers. One, he sets 3 alarms because he really does not want to miss his call. I have a feeling he didn't have to actually use all 3 of them today, but I'll ask him afterwards. And then he also sets little Post-it notes on the screens of his console mates so that they get a little funny note or a little encouraging thing from their launch director before they go. And then when we do terminal count, he will be doing his fist bumps with the entire team.
I love it. I know Ben is going to crush it. Why don't you give us some other highlights? Who else is supporting Ben with launch control today?
Ben is supported by a really large team, and we're not going to have time to touch on them all, but a couple here. First, we have Ann Dickey. Ann is the assistant flight director, and shout out to New Shepard again. Ann comes from that program as well. Now, Ann has been working the integrated schedule all week long, really making sure that this team is ready to go. And after we launch successfully, she is going to get herself an ice cream cone, and I will be joining her. Next, we have Martin De La Torre. Martin is a ground controller, which means that he will be working through all of the data and controls of our ground system out there at the pad. So as complicated as we all know rockets can be, the systems that are working around it are equally as complicated. And so Martin has a tough job today, but we know he's working hard. His favorite quote is from Stephen Hawking, and so he's got heroes, I think, like the rest of us. Next, we have Stephen Shelley. Now, again, you talked about the Jacqueline a little bit earlier. That's our offshore vessel, and Stephen Shelley is our offshore recovery lead. So as we go through this whole process, the team and the launch director, Ben, are constantly checking in with Stephen to make sure that we know that the barge is ready should we be able to land New Glenn. His launch day ritual is actually the same as Ben, another 3-alarm guy. So we'll be asking him as well. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Megan Lewis. Now, Megan is one of our 2 primary launch controllers, which means that she has control authority over a lot of these major systems on New Glenn. Megan is from Utah, and in a very sweet story, Megan is actually wearing a bracelet today that her grandfather gave her grandmother with charms for every Apollo mission that he worked. So a really incredible legacy of spaceflight in that family, and they're bringing it to the Blue family. So we're really proud of them today. Megan Lewis and team, led by Ben Dykstra, are getting it done.
I love it. Just some wonderful stories, and each one of them has their ritual. I'm glad that it seems like their alarm system has worked, because yes, they are all on console and ready to rock and roll today. That's a good thing. So, hey, Maggie, stay plugged in up there for us, and we will keep checking back in with you. All right, everybody, we're at T-minus 11 minutes and 40 seconds to go until launch. Why don't we take a moment here and send it over to the pad and check in on New Glenn as it gets ready for its first launch to space today. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We're at T-minus 27 minutes and 5 seconds to go until launch. You may have noticed that we've added some more time to the clock. As we mentioned before, this is just our teams getting aligned, making sure that each of the separate sub-teams have all gone through all of their checklists, make sure that everything is in the green, making sure that the weather here at the Cape and downrange, everything is within bounds. So again, if we need to add a couple more minutes, that is quite all right with us. But while we've got a little bit more time, I would like to check in with my colleague, Eddie Seifert, out there at Cars Park, where he's joined by Team Blue Origin, here, our team that's based here in Florida. What you got going on down there, Eddie?
Yeah, hey Ariane, welcome back to the best seat in the house here at Cars Park. I'm with the Smith family. We're working at Blue Origin, and working on rockets is a family affair. I'm with father Mike Smith, son Corbin Smith, and granddaughter Elizabeth. Elizabeth, tell me, you've sent a postcard to space, is that right?
Yes.
And tell me, what was on your postcard?
There was rockets and planets.
Rockets and planets on the postcard. Now, Corbin, how did you get your start at Blue Origin?
So I first started up in Huntsville, where I worked with an amazing team on the engine crew, building BE-4 and BE-3U. Now I'm here down at Rocket Park, building the thrust structures for GS-2.
Excellent. Must be special to be working on that GS-2 rocket out there. And Mike, how about you? How did you get your start at Blue?
Well, it was my son that actually encouraged me to apply, and we got hired around the same time, and it's been awesome being able to work with him on different projects. We get to talk about work at home and do different things. We bleed blue at home.
Excellent, excellent. And Elizabeth, tell me, what are you most looking forward to today's launch?
For the rocket to go up in space.
Well, I think we're going to end on that note, Ariane. We're looking forward for that rocket to go to space. Let's send New Glenn to space. Let's light this candle.
I love it. It is a family affair, and I think I love seeing the different generations there, father-son pair working at Blue. I look forward to seeing that little firecracker, that little girl joining us in a couple of years here in the future. It just speaks to, you know, it takes years to build these rockets, and that's what we're here to do at Blue. We're here to build these rockets that are laying the foundation for building the road to space, right? And so that children like her can pick up the torch and build on top of that. We're setting forth so that they can build infrastructure in space, and really, it's all for the benefit of Earth. Well, with that, thanks, Eddie, for checking in with us. We are at T-minus 24 minutes and 10 seconds to go until launch. Let's check out New Glenn on the pad as it gets ready for launch this evening. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We're at T-minus 19 minutes and 55 seconds to go until launch. New Glenn looking good there on the pad. We saw some beautiful views, as Denise has talked about. All the propellants are nice and chilled down. You saw the big, beautiful Blue Origin word mark and feather on that rocket. She is looking beautiful. But we do have a little bit more time here. Why don't we take a moment to talk about the BE-4 engines. We're looking at the vehicle right now. At the base of the vehicle, oh, that's a pretty shot right there. You see the 7 nozzles of the 7 BE-4 engines. You want to tell us a little bit more, Denise?
Yeah, so New Glenn is powered by 7 BE-4 engines. Now, these are the nation's first reusable, oxidizer-rich stage combustion booster engines. They use liquid oxygen and liquefied natural gas, or LNG, which is essentially a commercial form of methane.
Yeah, and we selected LNG because it's cleaner burning and more efficient than kerosene, or also known as RP1, rocket propellant 1. That's what a lot of rockets use. It's also low cost and widely available, which is really important when you're doing lots of launches, which is our intention for this New Glenn program. I should also note that we have done a ton of testing on the BE-4 engine, and we also want to keep those costs down as well. All of it adds up, right? And one of the coolest aspects, though, about LNG is that it can self-pressurize its tank through a process known as autogenous repressurization, right? So this eliminates the need for costly and complex systems that use helium, which is pretty rare. So normally you got helium and other gases in there to push the pressures properly through the engines to get them ready to go. But with LNG, it basically does it on its own. That's what that means.
It's so fascinating. And, you know, in terms of power, each BE-4 engine generates an impressive 550,000 pounds of thrust. So when you combine all 7 engines, New Glenn produces about 3.85 million pounds of thrust at launch. And just to put that into perspective, that's roughly half the thrust of a Saturn V rocket, which took humans to the moon. Imagine that power of 200 Boeing 737 airplane engines all firing at once. That's what we're looking at here.
And that is a ton of power. You see that these images here, this video, this is from our test facility down in West Texas. And man, oh man, I have been down there actually for one of these tests. And our facility down in West Texas is in this valley, and it just reverberates. You feel like you're in the inside of a drum. It just shakes the entire valley, and I mean, it's just incredible. And we're putting 7 of those at the base of this vehicle. The other thing you should see in that video there is that it burns this really cool blue color. So that's another. I'm not saying that's why we chose this propellant, but it's a nice little bonus to it.
It sure is.
So a lot of power coming out of these engines, but then also a lot of interesting technology that's gone into the turbo pumps too. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
They sure are. So the turbo pumps, which pump fuel and oxygen, are also incredibly powerful. Together, they produce the equivalent amount of horsepower needed to power 2 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers at full speed. Yet each turbopump is small enough to fit in the back seat of your car.
Think about that. I mean, the comparison is crazy, but just think about that efficiency that goes into that turbo machinery. Then you also see here, obviously, the comparison between our BE-4 engine. So there are 7 of those on the base of the vehicle, and our BE-3U, BE-3 upper stage engines, or 2 of those on the second stage. I want to talk a little bit more here. You see the comparison of the BE-4 to the BE-3U. You also have a comparison of the power of it as well. You know, both of these engines are highly sophisticated and have unique functionality built for New Glenn itself. So for BE-4, as we noted, we've got 7 of these engines in total of the booster. We saw a cool image of that a second ago. The 3 middle engines are gimbaling engines that can pivot to help steer the rocket. So that will be working, of course, in conjunction with the fins at the top of the booster. Now, those 3 middle engines are going to relight to help with deceleration and landing burns. And the other 4 engines are fixed. And this is the combination that gives us both the power that we need, but also the flexibility we need for different stages of flight.
And you know, the BE-4 engines are produced at our manufacturing facility in Huntsville, Alabama, and they're tested rigorously at our facilities, both in West Texas and Huntsville, to ensure they meet the high standards.
Yeah, and we should note there are 7 of these on New Glenn, but our friends at ULA with their Vulcan rocket, they use 2 of these engines. And those have already flown successfully to space. So we are very proud of that these engines have already flown to space, and can't wait to see them power this New Glenn rocket as well. They are going to be rattling this building very, very shortly. Well, with that, at T-minus 35 minutes to go until launch, let's toss it back to the rocket and check out New Glenn as this vehicle gets ready for its launch to space this evening. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We are at T-minus 25 minutes and 40 seconds to go until launch. You may have seen we've been adding some time to the clock. This is to allow our teams to go through their checklists. Keep in mind there are multiple sub-teams that are up there in launch and mission control. We want to make sure that everything is ready to go, and if some of those items on the checklist take a little bit of extra time, we are going to do so, especially since it is NG-1. We want to make sure that everybody is prepared and everything is aligned. We should also mention, again, we have to keep our eyes on the weather, both here and downrange. So with that, let's continue to check out New Glenn on the pad as this rocket and our teams get ready for NG-1. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We're at T-minus 23 minutes and 45 seconds to go till launch. With all this action going on upstairs at Launch and Mission Control, why don't we check in with our friend Maggie. Maggie, you got me?
Loud and clear, Ariane.
Right on. What are you? What's going on up there? What are you hearing about the status of our teams?
Yep, things are busy. The team is continuing to work through a few anomalies before we can proceed into terminal count. So we've got the engineers looking at all that data. We've got the controllers working through workarounds. So something that I think people don't always think about is that we have an enormous amount of what we're doing here in pre-launch procedures that's, scripted, we can plan it. But when off-nominal things are happening, we've got a team of controllers who can manually operate these systems. So the team that we talked about in our last bit, they are actually going through and able to turn things on and off, put different pressure through different valves. They are working through everything they can to make sure that we have a chance to launch today.
Fantastic. Yes, it's, we run through, when you talk about all the preparation for a launch, of course, we talk about, testing the rocket itself, but we also go through a lot of these simulations in terms of the operations with our team. And you test as much as you can, you go through as many rehearsals as possible, but sometimes day of, you gotta put that's why we got the really smart people in there so that they can work through whatever it is they're finding that might be a little bit off, and that's what our team is doing up there. Maggie, what
Ariane,
else? Sorry, go ahead.
No, the team here has gotten some good practice. I think we all saw the hot fire that we recently successfully made it through. So that is, almost everything up until launch. Before that, we had a successful second stage hot fire. Those are those BE-3U engines. And before that, we were doing tanking tests, mass simulators. We've done component testing, system testing. And a lot of the engineers that are working in this room are actually responsible engineers on the floor. So they've gotten their hands on this hardware. They know their systems.
Excellent. Very good point. I think I've always appreciated what we do here at Blue Origin. We tend to rotate our engineers. A lot of them, as you said, get to go down to the floor, see their hardware maybe that they've designed, talk to the men and women that are fabricating, but then also assembling the vehicle. They are very, very in tune, in touch with this vehicle. So if there are things for them to work, especially in these last minutes, we've got the right team to do it. Maggie, I want to thank you again for bringing us all the details. We've got a couple of minutes to go here. We got 20 minutes and 47 seconds to go until launch. Why don't we take a look at New Glenn as this rocket gets ready to go to space. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We are T-minus 19 minutes to go until launch here, and while our teams are continuing to get aligned, why don't we take a moment to chat a little bit about this amazing building we are in, the factory at Rocket Park here in Florida. This is where it all comes together, where we bend the metal on New Glenn. I literally see people down there bending metal, pulling, putting the components together, testing, cleaning. But also, not only do we talk about, just all the intricate pieces and parts here, but to build a rocket like this, the sheer scale of the facility here, this factory, but also the other buildings around here are just mind-blowing.
It really is quite impressive. So Rocket Park is essentially where we bring our rocket dreams to life. We're talking about state-of-the-art manufacturing and assembly areas designed to produce rockets efficiently and, of course, sustainably. This is where the stages of New Glenn come together.
Yeah, exactly. And the folks here at Rocket Park are not just building rockets, they're really shaping the future of space travel. I should say, I've had the good fortune of being here for 10 years now, and I have seen this facility, the whole park, in addition to Launch Complex 36, come together, and it is just amazing. Like, really from the bottom up, and the ability to build the next generation rocket in the next generation rocket factory. Like, our team is given what they need to make just an incredible vehicle. Why don't we take a deeper look at the home of New Glenn, Rocket Park?
Welcome to Blue Origin's Rocket Park in Florida, the home of New Glenn. This is where our orbital rocket is designed, built, integrated, launched, refurbished, and reflown, all within a 9-mile radius along Florida's Space Coast. Rocket Park is an active operations site for many Blue Origin activities, including manufacturing, integration and testing for New Glenn, and production of our Blue Moon lunar landers and future programs. Florida's Space Coast is 72 miles long and steeped in more than 6 decades of human spaceflight history. We stand on the shoulders of giants. New Glenn will help us build a road to space for the benefit of Earth. It's the foundation of everything we will accomplish. It will deliver cargo and crew to anywhere, including the moon, and help us establish a permanent lunar presence. It will enable us to harness the resources of space and launch all kinds of infrastructure to make space accessible, usable, and affordable for humans. The factory on Maior Island is the centerpiece of Rocket Park. It's here where New Glenn is built and tested. The high bay is where New Glenn becomes real. Raw material enters at one end, and completed rocket stages roll out the other side. From there, New Glenn heads to the surface coatings facility for its thermal protection, paint, and artwork. It then heads to tank cleaning and test, or TCAT, for pressure testing and cleaning. The factory is also home to New Glenn's Mission Control. On launch days, Mission Control comes alive as the rocket rolls out from its hangar down the road and goes vertical at Launch Complex 36. This historic launch site was rebuilt from the ground up just for New Glenn. Protected by 2 lightning towers, almost double the height of the Statue of Liberty, New Glenn prepares for liftoff at mile marker 0. This is where the road to space begins.
What a beautiful area Rocket Park is in. There's just so much history here on the Space Coast, and we are eager to write our own chapter with New Glenn.
Absolutely. There really is just so much history, and there's something to be said about the testing and integration and design teams all working so closely together. I know that working on the programs myself, being able to talk to the designers and the people who are making the hardware is just so valuable to increase communication and efficiency, and our campus really allows for that.
100%. The physical proximity is really, really important. And it's not known, actually, but historically, rockets have launched out of the Cape, but they haven't been built here. And so to be able to build our rocket here, do the integration here of the rocket, but then also obviously the payload with the rocket. And then when we get GS1, we get the booster back, we'll be doing all of the refurbishment here. That is so important, that co-location, to have that all come together. And, you know, I love that video because you see all the action. As I mentioned, you know, it's so funny. I was looking through photos earlier today, and I've got photos in the flame trench when they were just putting it up. You know, they were pouring concrete. You know, I remember being in this facility when there weren't doors on. It was just, you know, dirt on the ground. I remember we had no joke, we had a poll when they were clearing the land for this rocket park as to how many turtles we would find, because we have to relocate all of the turtles because there's incredible wildlife in this area. So of course we wanted to make sure that we protect those animals and the wildlife. And so we had a poll as to how many turtles we were going to find. God, I wish I could remember.
I was going to say, do you
remember? I know. I didn't win it, clearly. But, you know, there's just so much work that went into building this facility from the ground up. And to be here today is just, it feels surreal in many ways. And, you know, I was just talking a little bit about the factory itself, but the launch complex, you know, LC-36, as you touched on earlier this evening, has been around for a long time, has been where many historic rockets and missions have launched from, and we basically stripped it down to the ground and rebuilt it for this world-class rocket for decades to come. You know, we invested in this facility knowing that we're going to be here a while. With that said, we also here at Blue Origin like to pay homage to the giants of who have the shoulders upon which we stand, right? Like the vehicle, of course, is named New Glenn. But also what's really cool is, and you can't quite see it here in the dark, but we kept what's called the blockhouse. So during a lot of the previous launches, there would actually be a crew in the blockhouse, which is not very far from that launch pad, when they launched a rocket. This thing is like a concrete fort, basically. It's not very big, and on the inside, it's got these massive, heavy doors that close to protect the teams. To be very clear, we're not using that blockhouse tonight. We don't use it in our operations, but it is something that we have kept on site because of the history that is in that facility. I hope that one day I'll be able to go back in there. I did get a chance to peek my head in a couple of years ago. It feels almost like, what's the right way of putting it? It feels like a step into the past.
Yeah.
You know, the old computers and like, you know, the ashtrays. They're literally cigarettes that are still there from back in the day. We don't allow that in our launch control rooms. But again, clearly a throwback to the past. But just this facility, it feels really good to be here. It feels like we're set up for success as much as possible, which is really, really great. Okay, we are at T-minus now 36 minutes and 40 seconds to go until launch. Again, our team has added more time to the clock. They are working through their checklist. There's clearly some things that they want to spend a little bit more time on, and that is okay. I will reiterate, we have spent years designing this rocket. We have spent months and months designing this mission, building this particular vehicle as well. The design and test that's gone into the engines that are powering this rocket. If we need a couple more minutes, especially on this first launch, that is okay with us. You know, we want to give our team the right time and the space that they need to, you know, to work on whatever they got going on up there. I also want to, you know, keep in mind, my understanding is that the weather continues to stay inbounds here at the Cape, as well as out at sea. But for the moment, we have decided to put more time on the clock, which means that we still have a chance, still have the opportunity to launch this evening. I should say...
I was waiting for it,
I
Ariane.
know, it's pretty apropos because this vehicle says...
So you're telling me there's a chance?
That is the name of this booster. So yes, everything is, it's like it was meant to be for this vehicle.
It really
okay,
is.
With that, we are T-minus 35 minutes to go until launch. Let's continue to check out New Glenn on the pad as it continues to prepare for its launch to space this evening. Welcome back, everybody. We're at T-minus 31 minutes and 30 seconds to go until launch. As you may have noted, we continued to add time back to the clock. That, of course, is to make sure that our teams are aligned. I do understand that we're working an issue. That is okay. That means, if we're adding time to the clock, it means that the team thinks that there might be a possibility that we can sort it out so we can get to a launch this evening. So we're going to give them the time that they need. Beautiful beautiful view of the vehicle on the pad there. From the outside, she sure looks ready to go, but of course, there's so much that goes into a complex vehicle like this. But since we do have some time, why don't we take a closer look at our vision and mission at Blue Origin? As we've said time and time again, we're building a road to space for the benefit of Earth. This vision isn't only about exploring space, it's about making life better here on Earth. Let's check it out a bit more about our vision.
New Shepard is just the beginning. The first step.
From the very start, it's only been about one thing: Earth.
Earth, our Blue Origin.
We've sent robotic probes all over the solar system, and it's full of wonders: gas giants, rocky moons.
Earth is the best planet. It is not close.
Despite the variety, despite the wonder in the solar system,
there's no place like home.
Earth is our home, and there is no other place like it.
All life on Earth are uniquely matched to this planet. There's nothing like it anywhere else in the solar system. Not even close, no way.
We have no choice but to preserve Earth. Preserve this planet, this one.
we get to focus on the future, and the future is nothing without Earth.
For almost all of human history, Earth has seemed big.
It seemed big, but we now know it's small, it's finite. And we know that the rate that we're using Earth's resources is not sustainable.
Earth has things that we need to work on in the here and now.
But there are also long-term problems.
We can't wait to work on the long-term problems. We have to work on both.
One fundamental long-term problem.
We will run out of energy on Earth.
It's just arithmetic. It's going to happen. Humans have always used about 100 watts of power. That's our natural metabolic rate.
But in our developed technological society, we use over 10,000 watts of power per person.
Humans' use of energy is not actually a bad thing.
We live in an era of dynamism and growth.
There are so many good things that happen when we use energy.
Think about technology, transportation, hospitals, data.
As humans, we are at our best when we are inventing, when we are growing, when we are making progress.
But humans are doubling our energy use every 25 years, and that's unsustainable. Today, you could cover all of humanity's energy needs by covering the state of Nevada in solar cells. But at that rate of growth, in 200 years, you'd have to cover the entire planet in solar cells.
What can we do? Can we be more efficient? Yes, but we have been.
Today's technology is more efficient in nearly every manner.
We are gaining efficiency, and yet, when we gain more efficiency, what do?
We use more energy.
We have an ever-increasing demand for more energy.
So what if we just use less? Well, that doesn't work either. Throttling energy use means slowing down progress. You stop living in a world of abundance and you move to a world of scarcity and rationing.
There has to be another way.
There is another way. Space.
Space is full of abundant resources and energy. Space is vast and practically limitless. If we can learn to harness the power of space and the resources of space, we can tap the limitless resources to help preserve this planet. We can go to space for what we need. We'll make it routine, safe, and cost-effective to get there. We will build the rockets and the destinations for doing real work in space.
We can do even more than this. We can move the most polluting industries from Earth into space where they can't hurt the Earth or the environment.
We can return Earth to a beautiful natural state. It will be like a garden, like a national park.
A place for education, for creativity, and for recreation.
A place for enjoyment and for nature to thrive. In space, we can expand humanity. We don't want to leave Earth behind, but preserve it and expand humanity into space.
We can have 1 trillion humans in the solar system, which means we'd have 1,000 Mozarts and 1,000 Einsteins. This would be an incredible civilization.
Humanity will grow and progress and use energy for good.
Humanity can expand into the solar system by building destinations close to Earth, close to our home planet.
New places, places we haven't even dreamed of yet. Places that feel like home, places where great work can be done using the resources of space. An expanse that is meant for everyone, all kinds of people. This is a hopeful future, an enduring human presence in space. Space is the long-term solution for Earth.
We are building a critical part of the infrastructure that's going to allow others to unlock
the road to space so that future generations can unleash their creativity.
It won't be easy. Space must become much, much more accessible to make this vision a reality.
Big things start somewhere, and that somewhere happens to be today.
There are certain gates we have to go through, certain prerequisites. If we don't do these, we will never get there.
First, we have to radically lower the cost of access to space.
This means reusable rockets.
We have to get really good at using rockets over and over.
Reusable rockets, reusable engines.
Once you learn how to do that, you can basically start spinning this flywheel where the more you fly, the cheaper it gets. The cheaper it gets, the more you fly.
Launch, land, repeat.
Going back and landing a rocket is really hard. And it is absolutely essential that we get good at that so that we can drive down the cost of launch vehicles.
BE-3, BE-4, BE-7, all made from the ground up to be reusable propulsion systems.
Operational reusability. That means making space travel as routine as air travel is.
This is what will radically bring down the cost of getting to space.
And we are bringing all of that learning to New Glenn, the next step of building the road to space.
Once you have low-cost access to space, the next gate becomes harnessing the resources of the solar system.
There are so many more resources up there in space than there is on our planet.
I mean, everyone's familiar with this idea of locally sourced goods, and this is just a really extreme version of that.
The moon is where we'll learn to do all this.
The moon has a vast quantity of resources.
And if we can learn to harness those resources, we can travel without stressing the Earth.
That's the goal. We'll go to space, and we'll use its resources to power our transportation and build destinations.
Anything we need, we will use the stuff in space to make it happen.
The moon is the next thing. We're going back.
It's time to go back to the moon, this time to stay. Make no mistake about this. This is not going to get done by any one generation. One of the things that we have to do is inspire those future generations.
This vision of millions of people living and working in space for the benefit of Earth is a very, very long-term vision.
It's gonna take generations.
We have to make sure that what we're doing today is setting up the next generation.
It's going to take all kinds of people. Engineers, entrepreneurs, architects, artists, you, your children, your grandchildren.
This is kind of humanity's cathedral. You know, cathedrals took multiple generations of artisans and craftsmen and masons to build. And there was never the expectation that one person would design and fully execute the vision.
We have to inspire the next generation to carry this torch for the benefit of Earth.
For the benefit of Earth.
For the benefit of Earth.
We are Blue Origin.
And we will do all of this.
We'll do all of this.
For the benefit of Earth.
such an inspiring message. You know, actually our very name, Blue Origin, means Earth, right? So, you know, when our future generations are out there looking back, they will look back at their blue origin, at Earth, right? And so we really need to protect this planet. The other reason why I love our name, Blue Origin, is it means Earth. It means all of us. We are building these really cool, you know, pieces of space technology, not only just for one country, not only for one hemisphere, it really is for the entire world. And that's why, you know, I love that that our company has this bigger, broader vision. You know, actually, before I took my current role, I was leading our commercial and international sales, and it was just really nice to get out there and talk to our international customers and people from around the world in the space industry. I should say a big shout out to them out there if you guys are watching, you know, and really talking to them about whether it's New Glenn or Blue Ring or our lunar lander, what they can do and how they can take advantage of our technologies. I just love that we think broadly like that, and it's one of the many things that's kept me here at Blue. But I also want to talk, you know, obviously a main theme of that video there is this idea that as part of the long-term vision, we really need to protect this planet and the role of space technologies. What we're doing at Blue and what other organizations are doing around the world is so important because it is going to help protect Earth, right? And that's also why we start with reusable rockets and reusable rocket engines and the way that we're designing them to run on propellants that are less harmful to the Earth, like liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, and LNG. We were just talking about that earlier. It's just so important.
It gives me such a sense of pride because it really is about the everyday work that we do now and how that would impact future generations. So all of this is going to create a longer term impact on Earth that's truly going to benefit humans for future generations. By focusing on the sustainability of our designs, we're really ensuring that our advancements in space technology do not come at the expense of our home planet Earth.
Yeah, you know, a couple of minutes ago we threw it back to our co-host Eddie out there at Cars Park, and again, talking about the multiple generations, how cool is it that he was there with the father-son pair that both work at Blue, plus the son's daughter that's there, and she's just going wild over space, and she can't wait to see, you know, this rocket launch. We have to think in that sort of generational time scale, right? There was also, you know, our teammate that's up in launch control, whose grandfather worked, you know, on Apollo, and here she is, you can see she's pregnant in the photo. Like, who knows what her child is going to end up doing? And hopefully, what we're doing here at Blue is going to benefit, again, these next generations. We're building the road to space with these first initial steps tonight. You know, New Glenn. We're also talking about Blue Ring. Blue Ring is one of the first building blocks of the infrastructure that's up there in space, right? It's not just about the transportation, which is crucial, don't get me wrong, but then once we're up there, you know, we're going to need to support others, you know, in this case, you know, our customers, but also ourselves, when I say ourselves, Blue Origin and some of the missions we're doing, as we build our capabilities out there. By definition, space is infinite. And so if we can take advantage of that, and if we can put things up there that will help us take advantage of that, I mean,
for the benefit of Earth.
For the benefit of Earth, the future is bright. Okay, with that, we are T-minus 16 minutes and 40 seconds to go until launch. Our teams continue to get aligned. They're working on a couple of issues. This is our first launch. They need that extra time. We're going to give it to them because otherwise speaking, this team is ready to rock and roll, and that rocket there looks chilled in and ready to go to space. So with that, let's continue to check out New Glenn on the pad, ready for NG-1. Okay, we've just been getting an update from Mission Control. We are standing down today's launch attempt to troubleshoot a vehicle subsystem issue that will take us beyond our launch window. We are reviewing opportunities for our next launch attempt. So we've scrubbed today's NG-1 mission to give the team more time to work that issue, and we're reviewing what other things that we might need to get done in that period. When we know when the next opportunity is, of course, we will let everybody know. Now, to give the viewers a sense of what happens next, the launch team is now working to detank and safe the vehicle. From there, we're going to assess, as mentioned, what other things we might want to get done in our downtime, and that is what's going to guide when the next launch opportunity will be. Follow us on social media. That's the way